Okay, so get this right. Stablecoins, those crypto tokens peg to, like regular currencies. They're kind of staging a silent coup in the global payment system.
Yeah. It's
Seriously,
Captain Wet.
we're not talking about some like future prediction here. This is happening right now.
Right now.
They've actually surpassed Visa in transaction volume.
It's current.
Visa, the credit card company.
Yeah.
It's mind-blowing.
Mind-blowing. And that's just, like the tip of the iceberg, right? When it comes to what's been happening in crypto land, even if it's been a bit quieter, in the news and stuff.
Yeah, it's like everyone's waiting for the other shoe to drop, but in the meantime...
The builders are building.
Exactly. Everyone's quietly building away, and this a16z report...
The State of Crypto report.
Yeah, that one, it just lays it all out.
It does, and it shows that this isn't just some, flash in the pan. We're talking all-time highs for active users, monthly wallet downloads. That's the kind of growth that makes you, sit up and pay attention.
It's like crypto is this, I don't know, like this constantly evolving organism.
It really is.
And we're all just trying to track its movements.
Totally.
So let's dig into this a16z report and unpack what's really going on.
Let's just do it.
One thing that jumped out at me was just how much activity there is.
Yeah.
Even with the market, being all over the place.
Absolutely. It's not just about prices anymore. We're seeing real development, real user adoption, and it's across the board.
That's what's crazy to me. And they highlight Solana.
Oh, yeah.
This blockchain platform and how it's seen this massive influx of developers and users. And this is all happening with Ethereum, still right there.
Ethereum's still, top dog in a lot of ways.
Exactly.
But there's room for more.
Why Solana, though? I mean, what's the big appeal? Is it just speed, lower transaction fees?
Those are definitely factors, yeah. Think of it this way. You wouldn't, try to navigate rush hour traffic in a horse and buggy if you could, jump in a Ferrari, right? Solana offers that, faster, more efficient experience. And a lot of developers, they're craving that.
I get it.
But,
yeah.
Ethereum has its strengths too.
Oh, for sure.
And it's still a major player. I think it's less about one being, quote unquote better than just, different blockchains serving different needs, different niches. It's about having options.
So a more diverse crypto ecosystem.
Precisely.
Which is good for everyone, right?
In the long run, yeah, I think so.
But this report, it isn't just about the tech, right?
Right.
It also dives into how crypto is becoming this, I don't know, surprisingly hot political topic.
It really is.
Especially with the election right around the corner.
Which is so interesting. We're not talking about, abstract policy debates here.
Yeah.
The report actually found that in key swing states, like Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, crypto searches, they're going through the roof.
Whoa.
Think about it, right? In those places where elections are, won and lost by a handful of votes, people are suddenly really curious about crypto.
That's wild.
Super interesting.
So crypto's infiltrating, I don't know, every aspect of our lives, even our elections.
Everything.
And speaking of, real-world impact, we have to talk about the elephant, or should I say the
stablecoin.
The stablecoin in the room. This report's calling it the real crypto success story, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. They're not as flashy as some of those other crypto projects.
No.
But their impact, I mean, it's undeniable.
I agree.
They're exceeding Visa's transaction volume.
That's huge. It makes sense when you consider what problems are actually solving, right? Think about trying to send money overseas the old way.
Oh, a nightmare.
Right. Huge fees, long wait times. The report actually mentions an average cost of $44 to send money internationally.
Get out of here.
Stablecoins, they can zip that money across borders for pennies. And in minutes, especially on networks like Base.
Okay, so I have to ask.
What's Base? Base is a layer 2 network.
Okay, but for the average person, what does that even mean?
It basically means, faster transactions, lower fees. Imagine this. Ethereum, that's our main highway, right? But it can get, a little crowded.
Yeah, well...
Fees go up, things slow down. Layer 2 networks like Base, these are the express lanes that run alongside that main highway. They allow transactions to happen much faster, much cheaper.
Okay, that makes sense.
And it makes the whole system more efficient.
So faster transactions, lower fees. Are we finally moving toward a crypto experience that actually makes sense for you know.
For the average person.
Yeah, for the average
Ooh,
person.
yeah. Yeah, I think so. And as those barriers to entry, they start to lower, we're seeing like a surge in activity, particularly in DeFi, decentralized finance, which is, oh man, that's where things get really interesting.
DeFi, DeFi, DeFi. Everyone's talking about it. But is it living up to the hype?
Wow.
Is it just this, playground for crypto enthusiasts?
I don't think so.
Or something bigger brewing?
I think something bigger is definitely brewing. The a16z report, it calls DeFi like, the center of the action right now. We're
Yeah.
seeing the highest concentration of builders and users. They're flocking to the space. Decentralized exchanges, think of them like stock exchanges, but without like, the Wall Street overlords. They're gaining traction,
Interesting.
challenging the dominance of those traditional exchanges.
Okay. So what does that tell us? What's the big takeaway there? Are people losing faith in, like, traditional finance? Or are they just curious about this new alternative?
Probably a little bit of both, to be honest.
I could see that.
There's this like growing desire out there, for more transparency, more control, and frankly, potentially better rates than what traditional finance offers.
Yeah, no one likes those bank fees.
Exactly. And DeFi, while it's still early,
Yeah, it's still early.
it taps into that desire. It really does.
It reminds me of, like, the Wild West of finance.
Yeah.
Like all that excitement,
High risk, high reward.
but also the uncertainty, Like, are you going to strike gold? Or are you going to get,
Yeah, get run out of town.
run out of town?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. But either way, it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
It really is.
But speaking of interesting developments, this report, it doesn't stop at DeFi. It also dives into how crypto is becoming increasingly intertwined with, well,
Artificial intelligence.
AI. Yeah. And not in, like, a superficial way. There's, like, a genuine synergy there.
There really is.
I'm fascinated by this. So you're saying, like, crypto and AI, they're a match made in, I don't know, like,
Tech heaven.
tech heaven. Okay, so break it down for me.
Yeah.
How exactly are these two, like, a match made in tech heaven?
Well, think about it. Training those, really sophisticated AI models that everyone's like freaking out about.
ChatGPT, all
It requires a massive amount of data, even more massive computing power, like resources that only, a handful of tech companies.
the Googles of the world.
Exactly. Like only they can even dream of accessing. And it creates a situation where AI development, it becomes really centralized.
Okay, so
Which potentially stifles innovation,
Hmm.
limits access for, like, the little guys.
So you're saying crypto could be the great AI equalizer.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because crypto is about decentralization. It's in its DNA.
Yeah.
It's about open access. Projects like Jensen and Story, for example.
Or heard of them.
Well, they're exploring how we can use blockchain technology to make AI development more, more accessible,
Yeah.
more affordable for everyone, not just the big guys.
So instead of, like, Google or Facebook,
Or Meta, whatever they're calling themselves these days.
right, instead of them controlling the future of AI, it could be in the hands of, like, a global community of developers,
Precisely.
researchers, even everyday people.
That's the idea.
It's a radical idea.
It is, but that's what's so exciting about this space. Anything feels possible right
It's
now.
true. And I think that's what keeps so many people coming back to crypto. It's like this constant source of what-if questions.
Totally.
And, every answer just leads to, like, 10 more possibilities.
Exactly.
But with all this talk about groundbreaking technology and, the future and all that, I think it's important to bring it back down to earth for a second
Yeah, sure.
and ask, like, how is all of this going to actually impact the average person? Like, someone listening to this right now, what does it all mean for them?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
And it's one that I think, we need to explore in more detail.
Right. So, a cliffhanger.
We'll dive into all of that in the next part of our deep dive.
All right, listeners, you're going to have to tune in next time to find out how this crypto revolution might be hitting your wallet, your social media feed,
Oh, and your video games. Don't forget those.
and your video games. Don't miss it. It's easy to get lost in the weeds, with all the technical jargon and mind-boggling possibilities.
Oh, absolutely.
But at the end of the day, I think the question we all have is, how does this impact me? What does it mean for my life? Like, why should I even care about any of this?
Right. It's all well and good to talk about, stablecoins and AI and all these crazy concepts.
Exactly.
But how does it translate to, like, the real world? What does it mean for someone who's, just trying to get through their day-to-day?
Right. Should I be running out to buy Bitcoin? Do I need to become a blockchain expert overnight? Give me the quick and dirty takeaway.
I wouldn't say it's about, making any rash decisions or anything like that.
Okay, good.
You don't need to become an expert overnight. It's more about, I think, recognizing that crypto, it's becoming more mainstream.
We keep hearing that, but it still feels like this niche thing.
It's getting there. This
Yeah.
isn't some fringe technology anymore. It's impacting global finance, political discourse.
Even our elections.
Exactly. Even our elections. It's impacting our entertainment choices.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Remember when the internet first started becoming, like, a thing?
Barely?
Right. But it's like that. Ignoring crypto now is kind of like refusing to learn how to use email back in the 90s. It might not impact you immediately.
But it's going to catch up eventually.
Exactly. So no need to panic, but,
Start paying attention.
yeah, pay attention, be informed.
But how do we even begin to make sense of it all? I mean, it feels like every day there's a new buzzword, a new trend, a new something coin.
Oh, yeah, it's a lot. But this a16z report, I think it actually does a good job, of cutting through the noise,
Okay, good.
highlighting the areas where crypto is really poised to make the biggest impact, especially in the next few years.
Okay, so let's talk specifics. What are those areas? What are the areas where you see the biggest potential for crypto to, like, I don't know, disrupt things?
Disrupt the status quo.
Yeah, for the average person.
Well, finance is the obvious one. We've talked about stablecoins and how they could revolutionize, cross-border payments.
Yeah, making them cheaper, faster.
Right. Imagine a world where sending money to your family overseas is as easy and cheap as sending a text message.
Sign me up.
No more crazy fees, no more waiting days for the transfer to go through.
That's huge.
It really is, especially for, people who rely on remittances.
Yeah.
Or just need to send money internationally on a regular basis.
Okay, what about DeFi? That's another one we touched on earlier. How does that fit into all of this?
DeFi has the potential to be absolutely revolutionary. Imagine being able to, access financial services.
Lending, borrowing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. All without needing a traditional bank.
Whoa.
Or a broker.
Cut out the middleman.
Exactly. That's what DeFi is aiming to achieve. And while it's still early days...
Yeah, it still feels a bit like the Wild West out there.
It does, but the growth we're seeing, I think it shows that people are, they're hungry for this kind of control.
They want to be in the driver's seat.
Exactly. They want to take back ownership of their financial lives.
No more overdraft fees.
Right. No more overdraft fees. So yeah, I think DeFi is definitely one to watch.
Okay, so we've covered finance, but finance isn't everyone's cup of tea,
True.
even if it is becoming more accessible. What about other areas where crypto is making waves? What about things that, the average person, maybe they don't care about finance, but they care about ownership? Yeah.
That's a big one. At its core, crypto is about decentralization, right?
Yeah.
Giving individuals more control over their assets, their data.
Their online identities?
Exactly. And this is playing out in some really interesting ways.
Like with NFTs.
NFTs are a great example. Now, I know.
Everyone was going crazy for them a while back.
It was a wild time.
Overpriced JPEGs, all that.
There was a lot of that, for sure.
Yeah.
But the underlying technology, it's always had potential.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see more practical, impactful applications.
Like what?
Well, think about artists, musicians, writers,
Creators.
any type of creator. NFTs give them a way to connect directly with their audience.
Cut out the record label.
Exactly. They can monetize their work without having to rely on those traditional intermediaries.
So a musician could, release a song as an NFT.
Yep.
And sell it directly to their fans. Keep more of the profits.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just music. Imagine journalists selling articles directly to readers or artists.
Cutting out the middleman everywhere.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
NFTs have the potential to, completely reshake the entire creator economy.
Wow. It's like the ultimate form of creative control.
It really is. And it gives power back to the creators themselves.
I like it.
It's an exciting development.
Okay, so we've got finance, we've got NFTs. This report also mentioned crypto and gaming. And I'll be honest,
Yeah.
I'm still a little fuzzy on what on-chain gaming even means.
It's a bit of a mind bend.
And why should I care?
Right. So on-chain gaming, it's basically about integrating blockchain technology into video games.
Okay.
But the really interesting part is this concept of true ownership of in-game assets.
Okay, so instead of just earning, virtual gold or whatever, that only exists within the game.
Right. It disappears when you log off.
You're talking about owning digital assets that have real-world value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine earning a a rare sword or something in a game
Yeah.
and then being able to sell it.
To another player?
Yeah,
Yeah.
or trade it for cryptocurrency. Or owning a piece of like virtual real estate
Wow.
that you can develop and monetize within the game world. That's what on-chain gaming makes possible.
So the lines between like the virtual and real worlds they're kind of blurring.
They really are, and it raises questions about like the future of entertainment, ownership.
Work even.
Exactly. What happens when people can earn a living by playing games or creating digital art within these virtual worlds?
That's wild. Okay, so we've got finance, we've got NFTs, we've got on-chain gaming, and then there's this whole other thing that I keep seeing.
DAOs?
DAOs,
Yeah.
Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, I think is what it stands for.
You got it.
It sounds intimidating.
It sounds way more intimidating than it actually is.
Okay, good.
Basically, think of a DAO like an online community with a shared goal
Okay.
and a shared bank account.
So like an online club, but with actual money involved.
Kind of. Imagine a group of friends pooling their money to, I don't know, invest in something they're passionate about.
Okay.
But instead of relying on one person to manage everything, all the decisions, all the spending, it's all done transparently.
It was on the same page.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's all done automatically through, smart contracts on a blockchain. That's essentially what a DAO is.
Interesting. So it's like crowdfunding, but instead of just giving money to a project, you become part of like this mini democracy.
Exactly. And it's not just for small groups. We're talking about DAOs being used to fund everything from like charitable causes to scientific research, even media ventures.
Wow. Okay. So potentially a lot of power in the hands of, well, the people.
Right. And that's where things get really interesting because DAOs, they have the potential to like reshape how we organize ourselves, how we collaborate.
Not just in the business world, but in every aspect of our lives.
Exactly. It's about communities, not corporations,
Yes.
wielding that power.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. It's not just about like, buying the next Bitcoin or
Yeah.
understanding all the technical stuff. This is about like a fundamental shift.
In how we interact with technology.
Exactly. With each other, with the world.
It's huge. It really is.
It is a bit overwhelming, though.
Oh, absolutely. It's exciting, but it's also a lot to take in.
So as we're like, processing all of this,
Yeah.
what's the one key takeaway? If our listeners are going to remember one thing from all of this, what would it be?
I think the most important thing to remember is that we're still so early. This is just the beginning.
It feels like we say that about crypto every year.
And it's still true. We're just starting to scratch the surface of what's possible. And the decisions we make today, how we choose to engage with this technology, it's going to have a huge ripple effect.
So stay informed, stay engaged. Basically, don't check out.
Exactly. Don't check out. Because the future of crypto, it's being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping that.
It's funny because as we've been, going through this report and everything, I keep thinking about crypto like it's this massive social experiment.
Yeah.
And it's playing out in real time, right in front of all of us.
I love that analogy because you're right. It really is experimental. Like we're all figuring out the rules as we go.
Exactly.
Possibilities, the potential downsides, and just like any good experiment, we're going to have some unexpected results along the way.
Right. Some good, some not so good.
Exactly.
Speaking of unexpected results, there's this whole section in this report about how crypto could actually be the key to like fixing some of the biggest problems with AI, which kind of blew my mind because, I don't know, when I think about AI,
Yeah.
I think about these like huge tech companies, right?
Right.
With all the data, all the computing power.
It's very centralized.
Yeah, the opposite of what crypto is supposed to be about.
Totally. And that's what makes this connection, this intersection so fascinating.
Okay.
Because crypto, at its core, it's about decentralization, right?
Right.
It's about open source. And that might actually be the key to making AI more democratic, more accessible for everyone.
Okay, I have to admit, that sounds a little counterintuitive. Like,
Yeah.
how does crypto even begin to kind of like, I don't know, tame the AI beast? It's like we're using a screwdriver to fix a jet engine or something.
Well, one of the, the biggest hurdles right now with AI is the cost. Just the sheer cost of computing power,
Yeah.
training these complex AI models.
Yeah, it's insane the amount of data they need.
Exactly. And it takes a ton of processing power, like more than, you or I could ever imagine.
Right, it's only the big guys who can even play that game.
That's the problem. It creates this AI monopoly. But imagine a world where instead of relying on, Google or whoever,
Yeah.
anyone could contribute their unused computing power
Interesting.
to a decentralized network
Okay.
and actually get rewarded for helping train AI models.
So like those old screensavers back in the day,
Right.
where it would use your computer's idle processing power.
Exactly. But this time, you actually get something back for it.
Okay.
And it's not just about like donating your computer, it's about using blockchain technology to give everyone access to the data, the algorithms, all the stuff that makes AI tick.
So instead of like, Mark Zuckerberg deciding the future of AI, it could be like you and me and everyone listening.
That's the idea, a global community of people working together to build the future of AI.
I like it. And what about data privacy? Because that's another huge concern with AI, right? All our data is just out there.
Absolutely, it's a huge concern.
And these companies, they're just hoarding it.
They are, but with blockchain, there's the potential for us to like actually own our data.
Okay. So how does that work?
Well, instead of our data being stored on some, corporate server somewhere, it could be stored on a blockchain. And we could choose who gets to access it, how it's used.
So I could like rent out my data to an AI company if I wanted to.
Exactly. You'd be in control.
I mean, they're already using it anyway, right?
Yeah.
At least this way I get something out of it.
Right. It's a whole different power dynamic.
It is. And, it kind of brings us back to something we talked about earlier.
Right.
This idea of crypto becoming more political.
It's inevitable.
It's not just a tech thing anymore.
It's about power.
Yeah.
It's about who has it, who gets to make the rules.
It's kind of crazy when you think about how far crypto has come.
From those early days, it's really incredible.
So where do we go from here? What's the next chapter in this crypto saga?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I don't have a crystal ball, but I do know this. The next few years are going to be very interesting.
That's a safe bet.
We're going to see governments wrestling with how to regulate this stuff.
Yeah?
We'll see more and more companies trying to figure out how to get in on the action.
It's already happening.
Right. And most importantly, we're going to see everyday people, like, our listeners, deciding how they want to use this technology.
Making choices that could have a ripple effect.
For years to come. So if you're listening to this and you haven't already, now is the time to start paying attention, get informed, because the future is being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the wild world of crypto. But don't worry, we'll be back soon to explore more of these fascinating trends and unexpected developments, all happening at the speed of, well, the blockchain. Until then, stay curious out there.